Hello students, today we are going to discuss Form B for the submission of research proposal. तो इंडिया में जब भी हम प्री क्लिनिकल स्टडीज करते हैं या स्टडीज एनिमल एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करते हैं तो सारे एक्सपेरिमेंट्स जो होते हैं दीज आर गवर्न बाय कमिटी फॉर कंट्रोल एंड सुपरविजन ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंट्स ऑन एनिमल दैट इज CCSEA. Previously, it was CPCSEA. Now it is changed to CCSEA, and this is the statutory committee of Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Government of India. तो इनके वेबसाइट में आपको ये फॉर्म मिलेगा जब भी आपके इंस्टीट्यूट में एनिमल इथिकल कमेटी होती है, जिसको हम बोलते हैं इंस्टीट्यूशनल एनिमल इथिक्स कमेटी, और ये कमेटी अंडर operated under the supervision of CPCSEA or it is CCSEA. तो आपका प्रपोजल अगर आपको सैंक्शन करना है तो बिफोर दैट यू हैव टू फिल दिस फॉर्म बी and then put this form in front of the committee. Committee will review this form, and if they are satisfied with the protocol, then they approve this protocol, and then only you are able to use the number of animals in the experiments. So how to fill up this form? Just we will go through it. It containing two sections, section 1 and section 2. So what one by one we will discuss. First, you have to include the name and address of establishment. Establishments means the place or the institute where you want to do the study. So here, name and address of establishment, you have to write here the name. Suppose if your institute is any XYZ college, then you write down the name of the college and you write down the complete address of the institute. Then registration number and date of registration. Now this registration number indicate that the registration number which you are getting from the CCSEA, that registration number you have to write here along with the date of the registration. Then next is name, addresses and registration number of breeder from which animals acquired for experiment mentioned in part B and C. So if you need the animal for experiments, then if you have the in-house facility, if you have the breeding license, then you can write here, or if you are going to procure the animal from the breeder outside your institute, then you write down the details of CCSEA registration number of that breeder along with the name and address of the breeder. Then place where the animals are presently kept or proposed to be kept. So once you are collecting the animals, you are procuring the animals, then where you want to keep that animal, you have to write down the name of that place. That place may be your animal house or quarantine area. You can write here completely. Then place where the experiment is to be performed. So the researcher is going to perform his experiment at lab or animal house or some operation room is there, specific room is there. You have to mention here the specific things. Then date and duration of experiment. So date indicate that the commencement of the experiment, from which date you are going to start your experiment and for how much period or how much duration the experiment will going to work, that you have to indicate here. Suppose it may be 6 months, it may be 1 month, it may be 1 year. So depending on the duration, you can write here. Then what type of research, whether your research is the basic research or academic or educational research or some regulatory research which is carried out as per the regulatory guideline or some contract research. So you have to fill here. Then after you have to sign here name and designation of the investigator. You write the date and the place. So this much information is required for section 1. Now come to the section 2. So section 2 here actual information related to your protocol or study has to be filled. So first you have to fill the title of your project. It may be the project, it may be the dissertation, it may be the thesis. Whatever may be, you can write down a precise and proper title here. So when committee read the title, from that they come to know what you are proposed in the form. So it is a self-explanatory title. Then principal investigator or research guide or advisor. Principal investigator, the person who is actually going to work on the experiment. Research guide or the person under whom the researcher is doing his or her project is the research guide or advisor. You can write the details of these people, and this includes write down the name of the person, then designation, then in which department or division or lab he is doing, then telephone number, email ID, experience in lab animal experimentation. So this information, suppose the person is from the industry, it will be different. Suppose the person is from the academia, it will be different. So accordingly, whatever suitable is there, that information one has to fill. Then list of all individual authorized to conduct procedure under this proposal. So it is given that list of all individual. So the persons who are involved in these experiments, you have to give the details. In that also, the veterinarian is one of the person if your work is on surgical process or whatever may be. So in that case, the veterinarian is also one of the individual who is involved in the proposal. So here you have to write down the suppose a student is there, one or two student is there, so you have to give the information of each and every individual. So under that also you have to write the name, then designation, then department, telephone number, email ID, and experiments in lab animal experimentation. Then funding source or proposed funding source with complete address. So if the project is funded by some government agencies or the agencies will going to fund, then you have to mention the details of the funding agency. If the project is funded by the institute, then you write down the name of the institute which will going to provide the fund for complete project. And if it is from some agency, you have to attach the proof or the offer letter of the funding agency. Then duration of animal experiment. Here you have to write down the date of initiation. Means it is proposed. Maybe because of some reason it will not possible that you can start the experiment from that day, but it is proposed that from which you can start the experiment. And date of completion, that is proposed date for completion. So depending on the protocol, depending on the study, you can include the date of initiation and date of completion of the project. Then details of study plan to justify the use of animals. It is very important. So here you can include the annexer that details of your study protocol, the grouping, the number of animal, then sex, age, the route of administration, then how you are going to treat the animal, everything which parameter you are going to evaluate, how you are going to evaluate, when you are going to evaluate. All these things you have to mention under this section in separate annexer. Then animal requirement, which is very important. Species and strain clearly mentioned. Then age and weight of the animal should be mentioned. Then gender, whether it is male required, female required, you have to write. Number to be used, year-wise breakup and total figure needed to be given in tabular form. If the study is for 3 years, then you have to, suppose a PhD protocol is there, then in that case you have to break up your study protocol into year-wise pattern, and how much animals you need every year is to be presented into the tabular form. Then number of days each animal will be housed, for how much days the animals will be there into animal house, that should be mentioned. The rationale for animal uses. Why animal is required for your studies? Here, the strong justification is required from the researcher. So first is, why is animal uses necessary for this study? So for your specific protocol, why animal studies are required? Here you have to mention the importance of animal house with related to your project. Second is whether similar study has been conducted on in vitro models. If yes, describe the leading points to justify the requirement of animal experiments. So, if the literature says that in vitro studies is already carried out on your product, then why you are going for the in vivo study? Is there any advantage, or is there any good outcome from the in vivo study that has to be justified? Then, if you are using the rat or mice or rabbit or guinea pig, so why these particular species are selected, you have to justify depending on the study. If it is ocular studies there, then we are going for the rabbits. If it is a asthma or skin related studies, then we will go for the guinea pig. So that specific reason for selecting these species are important. Then why you need the specific number of the animals? So here one has to give the justification. Why 10 animal? Why 6 animal in each group? So it mostly people are using the animal depending on the type of the study and as per the statistical requirement. So you have to mention here. In some cases the mortality is more. So in that case the number of animal required per group are more. Then similar experiments conducted in the past in your establishment. If the same studies are carried out previously in your experiment, then you have to mention here. And if the same studies are carried out, then why you are doing the new study? So a proper justification is required in this case. Then similar experiments conducted by any other organization in same or other in vivo models, if yes, enclose the reference. So if the same experiment is carried out by some organization and you are referring that paper for your study, then you have to enclose the reference of that paper or attach that paper to this form B. Then describe the procedure in details. This is related to procedure. So all invasive and potential stressful non-invasive procedures that animal will be subject to in the course of experiments. So you have to mention all the process, invasive process, non-invasive process, which you are going to be carried out. Then injection schedule is very important. What is the dose? You have to mention specific dose. Then site, whether it is the oral, whether it is subcutaneous, intravenous, that. And then volume. How much you are going to administer in terms of the ml, that is 5 ml, 10 ml, 15 ml, has to be mentioned properly. Then blood withdrawal details, the volume, how much blood you are going to withdraw, and site, where from it is retroorbital or tail vein, you have to specify this. It is very important. And for writing this, your literature should be very much perfect. Then if you are giving the radiation, then dose and schedule of radiation has to be mentioned. The nature of compounds, whether a broad classification of the drugs, this is required. This has to be mentioned here. Then, does the protocol prohibit use of anesthesia or analgesia for the conduct of painful procedure? So, if you are doing the experiments and administration of anesthesia or analgesia, they prohibited the procedure, then you have to justify why it will shows this, how they are going to prohibit it. Then if you are doing survival surgery, then you have to justify why this is required and how you can take care of post surgical process. Then all surgical procedure you have to includes separately in details. Then while doing the surgery, expert person is required. So whomsoever expert person is going to do the surgery, the name and qualification of that person is required. Then what types of post-operative care one has going to be take with the animal, whether antibiotics are used or whatever care are there. All the things you have to mention depending on the study also. If the major surgery is to be performed more than once on a single animal, in some study, it is required that we have to do the surgery on first week and after 15 days you have to again do the surgery. Then here you have to write down properly with proper justification that whether this than once the surgery is carried out on the animal. Then the post-experimentation procedure means after experiment is over, then what you are going to do with the animals. So scope for reuse, if the animal is what wash out, and if the study is just a preliminary type of the study where the surgery is not done, then you have to use that animal for some demonstration purpose. You have to mention here. Then, if rehabilitation is there, then you have to give the details of the rehabilitation process. Then, if you are using the euthanasia, if required in your protocol, if it is not required, then you can go with the anesthesia. So, if you are using the euthanasia, then you know there are different methods of euthanasia. You explain by which methods you are going to perform this euthanasia. Then method of carcass disposal after euthanasia, that you have to explain. Then animal transport method, if extra institute transport is envisaged. So here, as per the guideline, it is mandatory that all these animals can be transported with the air conditioner car. So you have to give the details of that uh, car number, or the AC is there or not. Everything you have to mention here. Then if you are using any hazardous agents, then it is mandatory to take the approval from the institutional biosafety committee. If the college doesn't have this committee, then you have to take the approval from a nearby institutional biosafety committee for this doing this. So under this, the various compounds are there, agents are there. So attach copy of the approval certificate of the respective agencies. So under that radionucleotides are there, then microorganisms and or biological infectious agents are there, then recombinant DNAs are there, then any other hazardous chemicals. So whichever chemicals or hazardous material you are using in your protocol, you have to explain in detail about that material. Then this is the investigator declaration. So before going to sign, you can read it carefully, that declaration, because it is the whole responsibility of the investigator to obey the rules and guidelines provided by the CCSEA. So what it is given, I certify that the research proposal submitted is not unnecessarily duplication of previous report research. Here you have to mention this part. Then I certify that I am qualified and have experience in the experiments on animals. This is important. For procedure listed under the item 10, I certify that I have received the pertinent scientific literature and have found no valid alternative to any procedure described herein which may cause less pain or distress. Then I will obtain approval from the IAEC or CCSEA before initiating any change in this study. So, without this approval or without this permission, you can't able to start this study. And another thing is that during the study, if you need some modification in the protocol, again you have to take the permission from the IAEC or CCSEA. Then I certify that the performance of experiment will be initiated only upon review and approval of scientific indent. This is an important part. Then I will submit appropriate certificate of review and concurrence for study mentioned in point 14. Then Form D is also important. Maintain all the record as per Form D, Format D, and submit to Institutional Animal Ethics Committee. So what is that Form D? we will explain in the I will explain in another video what is Form D and what is the purpose of Form D. Then I certify that I will not initiate the study before approval from the IAEC. As I told you, before approval, you cannot start the study. Then ensure that rehabilitation policies are adopted. Then signature, name of the investigator, and that you have to write this, fill up this. Then the IAEC, after review of your proposal, they will give you the certificate in this format. They will write all these things, and the certificate will containing the signature of chairman of IAC, member secretary of IAC, and main nominee, which is given by the CPCSEA. And this certificate is valid for using for the use of all experimental animals. So this is all about the Form D, which has to be filled and maintained for doing any type of the animal experiments. Thank you.